who do you guys see getting top 4? Name them quick. I say Juve, Napoli, Inter, and Lazio.
Same
Who's
thing,
next?
but I say Milan 4th.
Milan 4th?
Yeah.
Come on.
Same thing. I say Lazio 4th.
Inter, Lazio? Agree with me?
Correct. The momentum.
Okay.
Lazio has the momentum.
Napoli 5th?
I don't think we can make 15 if we lose all the games. Can we get the 5th place if we lose all the games?
This guy over here. Go, Pete.
Listen, no. You know what? For Serie A, I hope.
Everybody, and
we're rising, it's all worth it, brothers and sisters. This is where we all belong. Different colors, same game, we all worship.
what is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Serie A audio experience with IFTV. For the second podcast in a row, we've got, again, new guests. Last time we had Grown Up Italians. Everybody, you guys really love them. Antonio's still in Italy. We got Peter back.
up,
And of
guys?
course, we got
Ludovico.
Ludo by popular demand.
Thank you very much for inviting me back.
Everybody's always asking for you, Ludo and Peter, when you were coming back, because you were there for the Inter game.
That's right.
And a lot of people saw your Instagram stories, so you would have come back on a high, but unfortunately today,
He came back
I
on a
was
low.
hoping to get. I was hoping.
I'm
I was
still
hoping.
flying high.
That's it.
I think for Napoli, it was the perfect weekend, right?
It was a well, when you play against say a team that has no soul, that has nothing to play for, and physically not in shape, no ideas, and
That was hard.
it's easy.
It's
It is.
it's harsh, but
That's
the
Were you
reality.
that confident though before the game? Weren't you like, oh, Roma's gonna go full blast? They gotta go for UCL. They're gonna take advantage. They gotta go.
No, I didn't think so, because you already saw the sign against Spal. Well, I believe that right now you have 3-4 teams in Italy that are in top shape, and they're playing great soccer, and the rest are just basically appearing on the field. And these 3-4 teams, to my knowledge, are Napoli, Atalanta, Lazio, and Sampdoria. These, I believe, are the 4 teams
What
that
about
are playing. Well, Juventus is a
on the
different.
side.
It's a different championship altogether. We're not counting Juventus. Milan and Inter are not playing the way they're supposed to. Roma is basically you see Roma right now. What's happening in Roma? It's basically the season.
Personified
The way it's
right
been
there.
going, yeah.
No, I mean,
the team has no
we
soul.
weren't. I don't think we were really expecting much else. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be 4-1.
I thought
but
they
I
were
really
gonna put
didn't
up at least a fight.
I wasn't expecting
I-
Roma
could've been more.
to get a
surprised.
result. Yeah, it could have.
I didn't expect
It really
that.
could have
I was
been more.
surprised on how they played.
And it was
to be honest.
1-1 at halftime. That was the craziest part.
true.
But before we get into the recap and all your questions, which we always get to, we want to remind you the Calcio drop. The new colors are out right now at ItalianFootballTV.com. We let people vote on what colors they wanted. We got the beautiful blue. Ludo, even you were telling us that we have to get Napoli's blue. Napoli or Lazio's. So we have Napoli's blue. All the new colors are on our site right now. And anyone who places an order, it was supposed to be 48 hours, but if you're listening to the podcast, we'll do 72 hours just for the podcast listeners. You can get this signed Zanetti shirt that's right next to Peter. We got Zanetti after our interview. We made him sign it, so it's going to be randomly in one of the packages on any orders. So
For everyone that orders from the new culture drop. So,
And then if you want to gift it to me, more than happy to get it.
We'll look Peter's address down below.
yeah, you can't win it. You
I
can't
won't
win
win
it
it.
no matter what. But you met Zanetti. I mean,
Yes.
the guy is
Class act.
class.
Class
Yeah.
act.
Yes.
He's perfect. So, if you want to head over, ItalianFootballTV.com. Another 72 hours on that one, and you could win it. But let's get into the Serie A. Let's get into some of the reviews. We've got Antonio in Bari still. He's been sending us some videos. We're going to be posting them right now. And he's not answering in the group chat right now. We got a group message every time he talks, because I think he's a little bit upset with what's happening with Milan. They lost to Sampdoria. Incredible. To me, my favorite match of the weekend. If you guys saw this game, Sampdoria was pressing for 90 minutes on Milan. They scored in the first minute from a press and a Gigio Donnarumma mistake. But this Sampdoria with Gianpaolo is insane.
They're in tip-top shape. Sampdoria plays really well, and you enjoy watching them play. And of course, a guy like Quagliarella, who's 37 years old, who at this point, plays with such calm. He has nothing to prove to no one. He goes on the field really calm. It happens. I'm going to try. It doesn't happen. It's okay. Like when you go on the field, you don't have to prove anything. You just play your game, and great things happen.
He had a
That guy
couple of
plays with his
chances
mind.
too.
He does.
He had the crossbar and he had like I think a 1v1.
He was crazy.
But he still had a couple canoniere
It's in his
right now.
DNA. He was born to score goals.
But you
and
know,
it's his
it's,
DNA.
it's also the experience now. He already
Correct.
he knows how to play the game. So
Correct.
everything is already in his mind. He sees it 5
Mentally,
seconds
the way he
before. He
enters the
knows already
field.
how he has to play. And he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's had a great career. A career that he's brought him all over, from Napoli, Udinese, Juventus, now to Sampdoria. He's
done it
something.
everywhere.
It's definitely something to watch.
He smells the goal.
Yeah.
He smells the net. He smells where the ball is
But
going to go next.
You know what it is
So,
also? He
smells that.
also, even in his Udinese days, Napoli days, he has no fear. If he has to take a shot, he's going to take the shot. And he tries things that you don't think about.
But also, Pete, in order to play at these levels at 37 years old, you have to have commitment.
Oh, sure.
You have to train like a 17-year-old. And that's why I like about Quagliarella, and I always liked about Filippo Inzaghi. Those guys, they always have that fire in their eyes. They always give 150%. And they always train like it's day one, like a 17-year-old kid, even though they were a certain age. And those are the people that, they're going to score goals, and they're always going to have great games and great careers.
The thing to me is I just kept watching him every time he gets the ball, and you could just see the subtle movements that he makes with his shoulder, with his leg. And Calabria was marking him, who's 23 years old, 24 years old, and he would never lose the ball. He knows exactly what to do, where to go, and how to. Even though that he's got a 23-year-old on his back who could beat him for pace, he would still always never lose the ball.
Half a second before, he knows half a second before what's going to happen, half a second later, and he positions himself for what's going to happen in the immediate future.
The only thing that puts a bitter taste in my mouth with the Sampdoria, and I even told, I brought this up randomly to Mike too. I said, if you gave this Sampdoria Skriniar back and you gave them Zapata back, 2 players that were there, they would be fighting for Champions League right now. They're 6 points off a Champions League spot. I'm telling you, with Zapata, a number 9 who keeps scoring, and another center back, I think that these guys will be a
Do
Champions
they
League
need
team.
another striker though?
Yeah, I'm just saying, to get Champions League, I think that they could. I really do.
Yeah, but remember also, when you sell a player, you get money to buy other players. So maybe some other players wouldn't have
I'm
been
saying in an ideal
involved.
world,
Yeah,
if
sure.
they somehow got back,
In a crazy
No,
world,
of course.
utopian world.
I think I really like Gianpaolo. I really like what he stands for, and I think he's that next coach that's gonna come up who could get to a big team because they play great football. They really do. Even this kid Vieira, who I never, I've heard of, but I never really watched. Fantastic, Linetti. Great players that play good football under Gianpaolo.
Well, you see, Sampdoria is one of those teams that a player can really grow because you're in a stadium where the fans, they expect the best, but they know that they're not aiming for a Scudetto.
You don't have that pressure
Exactly.
on you.
You don't have the pressure.
And that's very important in order to grow.
Exactly.
So
So,
everything's
you
a
have the
bonus.
same feeling as if you're playing in San Siro when you're playing in Genoa, but also now know that you can try to really try, and the coach has the freedom to try these new players. Atalanta's another place, with Bergamo, Atalanta had so many young players that went through the system, and you see how they end up going to Milan and Inter and stuff like that.
Fiorentina too is-
Fiorentina is another city. So I mean, those are places where the players are able to really come on and develop
Without being bashed if something bad happens,
Yeah.
as much as a bigger team.
I love that we're showing Sampdoria so much love, but on the other side of this, we got to talk about Milan. And I know Antonio would be already shooting his pistoleros at us right now because he'd be upset for what we're gonna say.
I would say pistolina. Little pistol.
You got to be honest. I thought that Sampdoria definitely deserved it, but there was plenty of chances, and we'll talk about the penalty that they wanted at the end. But what do you guys think about this Milan and not being able to win? I think it was the first time of their season that they went 2 back-to-back losses after the derby and then this.
Well, Pete, you want to go?
Listen, Milan. I said it from when they got Piontek and Paquetá. I said they're gonna be on a high, but let's see what happens when they lose their first game. It's not the end of the world. They're still in it. Also Inter has a lot to blame for not gaining any points versus Lazio, but it's a young team. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna have these tough games, and you're versing 2 top teams.
Yeah.
With Inter derby game, we were both at the game together. It's a game where everybody's turned on to 100%. You know, you're gonna fight for every battle, and sometimes you come out the loser. Also versus Sampdoria, it's another top team that's been playing really great football, and sometimes you lose those games. So it's just a matter of how they recuperate and how they turn it on for the next game. But I mean, even this game, like you said, they had the chances. Maybe a penalty changes the game, the scoreline, but sometimes it's something that happens, and now it's time for the next game, how you best prepare for it.
I personally think that reality kicked in, where the team lacks certain aspects and certain fundamental positions. To me, they're not in shape. You had the Paquetá effect, which died down, and you had the Pistolero Piontek effect, which of course after 3-4 games it died down. So Milan was flying high on those two aspects, where you had those 2-3 players the new signings and the effect, and now the reality kicked in. And I personally think this is realistically where Milan belongs. It's a 5th, 6th placed team. And I believe Lazio has a great chance and opportunity to be the 4th place team.
It was a big week for Lazio.
I just want to add, Ludovico, I agree with you with a portion of what you said. I just feel like how you said the hype, you know, Piontek was scoring, everything was hot, everything was clicking, Paquetá was playing good, made some good moves. But like you said, reality was kicking in. Then it showed the lack of experience and tactician Gattuso really is. I felt like Milan looked kind of clueless. Yeah, they could have had a penalty, whatever, say what you want. But they didn't really have that many chances. They didn't look that dominant. Sampdoria pressed them better. Looks like Giampaolo did his homework more than Gattuso did. And it just looked like the Milan that we've been saying.
Sampdoria is in great shape.
Yeah, no, they are.
Sampdoria is just like Lazio. They're in, and Atalanta. They're in great. They're in great shape.
And you're going away to play this game.
And this the Milan we've been seeing that's been the inconsistent Milan. So I think it's still up to Gattuso. How we've been up and down with him. I think it's up to him.
If a team can press you for 90 minutes, you're in
hard,
trouble.
yeah.
You have very
It's
little
very
chances
hard.
of walking out of that field with a
You
point.
gotta look at both sides
with a
too.
point.
But you have to remember also, Milan is a young team. So it's a young team. You know, a lot of these young players, they don't have the experience to how to really battle. You know, when these 1-0 games are in, you know, you're 1-0 down from the first minute. Now you have a mountain to climb, really. You know,
against a
From the
team
first
that's not
minute.
going to stop.
yeah,
for
against a
second.
team that's not going to stop, against a team that's in form.
Yeah.
So now you have, you have to really grind it out. And sometimes a younger player doesn't have the experience or the know-how to, like, for example, Quagliarella or these certain type of players that can take the team on their shoulders and say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
But you can see the other point of view and be like, okay, we conceded the first minute. We got 90 minutes to score two
sure.
goals.
But even Juventus, almost screwed up against Sampdoria, and they were home. I mean, the last game, they got
Sampdoria is an
they got
excellent
a gift
team,
with VAR that didn't,
but it still
that didn't go
doesn't
their
take
way.
away from the Milan that we've been seeing all season. Despite a couple of good performances from a few players, I feel like this Milan isn't different.
If you look at it, that's all Serie A. Besides Juventus, everybody has the ups and downs. And I could even say Napoli too is a team apart. Every other team, they have these ups and downs, and it's incredible. You could have such a high. For example, Inter played a heck of a game versus Milan. Then you have your international break, because that also influences the top
100%,
teams, because you don't have the full training with the team. And then, boom, you're back down again. So
But
it's
it
not
also
like
depends, Peter, who you're playing against.
Of course.
And the Inter today played against a great
Lazio.
Lazio team,
Who's prepared.
where Lazio had a tremendous amount of injuries since the beginning of the season. And now all these players, they're coming back, and they're in full shape. Don't forget that Lazio has a great technical midfield. If they're all healthy,
love
those
them.
guys, they'll move the ball around. They'll hide it from you. You're not gonna you're gonna chase the whole game.
And Inter with no striker too. Let us add.
True.
No Lautaro, no Icardi. Yeah.
But I mean, if we're transitioning to that, I think that Lazio played a fantastic match.
They're in shape. I think they got great chances.
I love what
finishing.
Simone Inzaghi said after the match too, which was the preparation, and specifically with Milinkovic Savic, who we know, in the summertime, he wanted to move from Lazio. He had a huge price tag on him. The move never went through. You know, it affects a player mentally when they say they want to go to a top, they want to make that jump. They don't. And, you know, he took an injury. So he's been battling a lot, but he's starting to come back.
Correct.
And Inzaghi took the blame away from him a lot. He said, you know, I probably tried to push him a little bit too much. I tried to implement him too much, and that caused a negative effect. But now Savic is able to play, and Lazio is the best when they have Savic, when they have Luis Alberto.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those two guys,
Today he was
they
tremendous.
change the match for Lazio. They
pass
do.
all the-
They'll
When-
hide the ball from you.
When you have
You're not
those
going to
two
see the
guys,
ball with those two guys.
This is
guys
this
in
is the
midfield.
Lazio from last season. And in defense, they're very, very
Solid.
strong. Acerbi has been leading this line this entire season, and a few other guys in the back. It's not easy to play against them. And they proved it. Again, the inconsistent. Sometimes you get a Lazio that, you know,
Flat.
doesn't show up. But today, they were there.
You will. I think they're going to show up until the end of the season. They're my favorites. I picked them to be the fourth team in the Champions
but
League. Right
even-
now, they have better chance than anyone else. Than Roma, Inter. Inter. Yes, okay. Roma. Who's the other team? Atalanta.
Milan.
is also in
Milan is in
right.
fourth
Milan,
right now.
But
You would say Inter third and Lazio fourth?
yes.
We have that question for later.
Our Ciccio Colonese, we did an interview with Ciccio Colonese, who played for Inter and Lazio. It's coming out next week. And, you know, he's obviously played for both of those teams. And he said, hopefully Lazio, this was before the game. He said, hopefully Lazio's able to do it because he didn't want Milan, obviously. And so, yeah, he agrees with you. So,
Well, I also said, because from going from behind the first day that we had the podcast for predictions, I said Lazio going fourth. You know, they had a little bit of a rough start, but they finally now, with everyone healthy, starting to gel.
A lot of
injuries.
injuries.
I think they have one of the most balanced teams. If you look at Lucas Leiva also, he does the dirty work in the midfield. Then you have Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic. You have Correa. You know, you have Caicedo. You have such a mix. Immobile. We're not even
Lulic,
talking.
he's
You
a
know what I'm saying?
Pitbull.
So they have a mix of players. However, whatever style they have to get a last minute goal and put strikers up. They can go on the bench and do it. Something that Inter didn't have this game. You know, Inter played this game with no strikers. He had nobody.
And Lazio, one of the few that still play the 3-5-2 formation. What other Serie A team does that currently?
Currently,
Maybe Spal?
Atalanta moves to it sometimes.
Do they?
yeah, Atalanta.
But Lazio has been really consistent with that and seems to be working.
They got a coach who's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
When you use a system
very
often.
interesting.
Keep going. What you were going to say about Inter?
Inter it's a disappointing result. Yes, you're versing Lazio, but you're playing at home. It's a game where you know already what happened. Milan lost, Roma lost. This is your time to turn it on and get, you know, even a point. You have to be able to score at home. You have to be able to show that you're Inter. Listen, you're Inter. So even if you don't have the striker, quote unquote, Keita Balde is a good enough replacement. You know what I'm saying? He's not your classic number 9, but a false 9. He's able. He has speed. He does have technique. He should be able to get on the end. But the whole team, they look slow. They didn't look like they're really gonna be in the game to win the game. And it's disappointing. I don't know if it's Spalletti's fault or just another storyline in the Gazzetta where Icardi's not called up and why is this happening? Why is that happening? And maybe it gets into the players' heads a bit. But
Andanovic made a couple of nice saves, even though I have to say that goal, he has a little bit, he has fault on that goal because a goalkeeper with that height and the ball coming into the 6-yard box, that ball has to be yours. And if you cannot catch it, you raise your hand, you raise your fist, and you punch that ball in the corner kick. And he just basically he turned his body and he looked the ball go across the box, and that, to my understanding, that ball should have been his.
Yeah, but the thing is, Andanovic, you can't blame him because look how many saves he's made. Not just in this game, in the whole season. If it wasn't for Andanovic, Inter would not be in third place.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think he's just saying specifically
Yeah,
on that.
specifically
Specifically,
on
on that particular cross, I think that ball should
Well,
have
you
been.
can let it slide just because he's been such a savior for Inter this season.
One of the things, and I want to get just to hint a little bit more at it, where Ciccio was saying that he feels like in the midfield for Inter, he specifically said the midfield and the fullbacks, that he feels like those are the real lacking of the team. He says, you need a technical midfielder.
That dictates the tempo.
He said Brozovic
Correct.
is there and he's good, but he's not really your technical guy. He works hard.
Yeah.
And he says also the fullbacks, it seems like almost every year you try to get there, but they're not really champions.
No, but
Do you agree?
100%. That's been a problem for Inter for the longest time. We don't have a fullback. We had Maicon, and then no one else after. You know what I'm saying? We had no one that can put a decent cross. Nowadays, especially now, everything is wings, fullback. That's why you have new formations coming out, 4-3-3, everything wide. You know, the game is opened up a bit. And if you don't have that extra defender that can bring the ball up and put a cross, or a technical player, you're already taking a step back. D'Ambrosio works hard, puts in 100% every single game, but he doesn't have the feet to play for Inter. He should not be a guy that's starting for the past 3 years. Asamoah, you know, he does the dirty work. He played with Juventus, has the experience, but he's not the left back that you really want. We had Cancelo. We lost him because of financial fair play. Could something have happened before where you know already that he cost 40 million and because of financial fair play, we can't do it, or we try to figure out a different scheme, a different way to get him? I don't know. But, you know, those are the players. Calcedo is a player that, okay, you understand defensively he might fall asleep sometimes, but he's going to get you at least 10 assists a season.
He's a modern fullback.
We have no one that can cross the ball. Yeah. Every time you cross, and it's like...
Not even Perisic. He always makes the same moves.
Yeah, you know
He's
already.
a natural left. He goes down, he
Fakes.
the defend, he fakes, and he goes
I
always
feel
to
like
his left.
Suso does that too for Milan.
Yeah.
I feel like
Suso
predictable.
definitely does.
You know, and then midfield, that's been a problem for a long time. We don't even have a sub to come in. You say, okay,
And
who are you going to put?
Nainggolan's been
Borja
injured so
Valero.
long.
Borja Valero doesn't have the speed anymore. He can't even play, more than 20 minutes. It's a struggle. But these are things that we already know. You know, that's why they look for Modric. They look for Vidal. They look for somebody to play in that position. But, you know, it comes down to, besides the fact, we're missing a player, this player, you're Inter, you know? You have to show up during the game.
Yeah, no
And
excuses.
that's it.
Well, I just feel, to continue to talk about Inter, the Icardi situation does not help what you just said as a whole. Because Icardi is very important part of this equation. If the club and the coach do not play their cards right, and you lose that the locker room, you could lose Champions League, because there's still a lot of games to be played. So you have to. So that's why I feel also that Spalletti is going by. Okay, he came back. He started practicing a couple of days. He didn't call him out. He did everything by the book like you would do with any other player who did not practice for 30, 40 days. You practice 3-4 days, you're not going to get called up. You're going to get called up the next game. You're going to go in on the bench. If I need you, you're going to play a few minutes. Otherwise, you're going to sit on the bench and probably play in a week or so.
Isn't
So
that fair?
It has to, because he's at a situation where, yes, he has the club that's backing him up 100%, because he's the coach and he makes the technical decisions, but he also has another 24, 25 players that he has to give explanations
Exactly.
to.
Yeah.
So he cannot give that special treatment to no one.
Exactly.
Otherwise, that locker room is like a timing bomb.
A timing bomb,
So
yeah.
that if he says A, that somebody gets. But I think Borja Valero said it today. I mean, that situation gets cleared only if he goes in the locker room and he apologizes.
Exactly.
And what happened on Friday with the lawyer speaking to the club, getting called up and negotiating a call up to the team with the lawyer Nicoletti, that's not the way. That's not the way.
I think Masucci put it perfectly. As a coach, you have a responsibility not just to one player, but the whole team.
Right.
Especially when something's so public in the locker room.
So
And you got 4 teams with 3-4 points. A team that has to also Lazio has a game that they still have to play.
Yeah, a game in hand.
You have to be careful. I don't want to be in Spalletti's situation right now,
without
because
a-
he's
it's
in
very-
a very
it's
delicate.
very delicate.
He's in a very delicate
and
situation.
the fans don't make it easy for him. Because the first thing that comes to mind, Lautaro Martinez can't play. Icardi's starting to practice. Put him in, because he's a great goal scorer. But there's so many other dynamics to coaching the team that a fan maybe is a little blind to, and they say, no, Icardi should be called up. He's been practicing. He's fine. He should play.
But he hasn't played in 40 days.
wanna-
How do you? I agree
But
with. I agree with.
I agree with Spalletti, but-
I agree with Spalletti.
But if you would have asked the fans, should Icardi play or should Icardi been called up?
They would say
I
Icardi
would
play.
I would think that they would say, especially the fact that Lautaro Martinez is out and we don't have
Yeah,
another striker.
100%. Let me read.
Even though I don't agree with it, I agree more what you said.
But now he would have called him up, and then the other players were against
Of course,
Spalletti and said,
of
but
course.
3 months ago, Marco was
Exactly.
out for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
And you didn't call him up.
Yeah.
Now this guy was out for 40 days. He
And-
practiced 3 times, and you called him up.
Exactly.
And now you start.
Exactly.
Let me read his full quote, what he said after in the post match, which is where all the criticism has come, which I find interesting. So he said, you guys, and he was referring to journalists, are having a good time with the situation. He says, for the way Icardi acted, he needed to stay out. The others deserve to play. It's you journalists that are creating this story. It's not like without Icardi, you don't get Champions League. Mauro's been here for years, and how many times has Inter gone into the Champions League? It would be humiliating, even for an Inter fan, to try to convince someone to wear the Inter jersey. It was said yesterday he needs to stay out for tonight and come back on the next game. Mauro is not a difference maker like Ronaldo and Messi, and the true strength of a team comes from discipline and professionalism. We've lost games with Icardi on the pitch too. And I have to say, I seen everybody twist these words a little bit, but I saw how Spalletti said it, and I didn't take it in such a negative way that everybody has spun it off as. I see it for what it is, and I actually agree with Spalletti. And I know that people are not agreeing with this because they want Icardi back, but if you're in Spalletti's shoes, isn't this the right thing? For me, it is.
I agree, but why would a lawyer get involved on Friday negotiating a comeback with the president and Marotta to a comeback, or why would that has to happen? And then also the story leaked that Friday after practice they go into the video room and they analyze Lazio, they analyze the game that they had to play today, and Spalletti said to Mauro, would you like to say something to the team? And Mauro said, no. These stories are leaking out? Who's leaking these stories out?
What do you think about that statement?
What about
What
leaking
Spalletti-
out?
No,
or
what
what
Spalletti
Spalletti said? No, I think he nailed it, in the coffin, right in the head. It's a matter of discipline. It's a matter of the team first. And Icardi, great player, but he's not at the level of Messi. He's not at the level of Ronaldo. So nothing should really slide. And even in that case, Ronaldo and Messi wouldn't dare to do something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, professional.
All this controversy, all this stuff has been created and it's been manufactured by the media, by the fans, by everything around the Inter locker room. Stories getting leaked out. We don't know what the truth is. But we know that Mauro has his idea, or Mauro's entourage has their idea of what's going on in the situation, and they're not willing to bend it. And Spalletti and Inter have their version of it, and something in the middle is the truth. Now, are you going to be able to, like what we were saying, it's not right to have Icardi now come 3 days and have
Bent the rules just because his name is
because
Mauro
Icardi.
Icardi. I agree.
I agree with that too. I
So,
agree.
I think he's in a tough situation. He has to put his foot down, and he has.
And on top of that, he's the captain of Inter. It's not
Was
just
the
a
captain.
regular.
Was the captain.
Was the captain of Inter. So on top of all, he can't be blaming. Oh, he has an injury. Oh, my agent telling me that. At the end of the day, you gotta do what being an Inter captain is. At the end of the day, it's
No,
not.
but that's what happened in the middle of February
Yeah.
when Inter took the captain's armband
Away from
away.
him, yeah.
The next day, he came with a medical certificate saying that he was injured. So he started all this legal. He put all this situation into a legal aspect with the medical certificate. But a team is not crazy. A club is not crazy. Just they wake up one morning
And get rid of it.
and get rid of you and say, "Oh, you're not going to be the captain."
Yeah,
I mean,
something
there's a reason.
happened.
There's a reason.
There is a reason,
Of
and
course.
these reasons, like all the ex-professional players said, he has to clear it with his teammates.
Exactly.
Not even the coach should be present. Go into the locker room, get everyone. I apologize. This is what happened. I'm sorry. Let's work together. Let's forget about. And everybody makes mistakes, but he just refuses to. He refuses to do that.
Let's transition to a kid who seems to have his head on his shoulders right now, Moise Kean. I mean, this kid,
He's a gun.
what a week he's had. 2 goals for the Azzurri. Comes in for Juventus and in 3 minutes scores the goal that wins the game for Juve against Empoli. I was very surprised that he wasn't starting to in the beginning.
I think everyone was.
You know, no Ronaldo, no. Surprised that this kid Kean was not playing, but 19 years old, and like I said, it's an incredible week after debuting for the senior team of the Azzurri. He comes in and he's got a knack for the goal. He knows where the ball's got to be. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, and it's nice to see that there's young kids in Italy, and this is what we've been saying because we got to talk about the Azzurri a little bit while you're here, and then we'll go to fan questions. It's nice to see that we have some Italian kids who have some hunger on them and who are also confident enough to put the ball in the back of the net. I think we've seen all too often that we've got talent, but we often don't have the confidence to back up the talent to be able to do it, and I think that this kid Kean has it.
Watching the game yesterday, I was thinking, wow, we were in Viareggio 2 weeks ago. Why didn't the Viareggio Primavera make that mistake on the goal that Kean scored? 2 players closing on Mandzukic, and then the ball goes in the middle, so one of our guys goes in and scores. Yes, he did. He's a great kid. That's what I wanted to say. He's one of those players that everyone talks good about, and he has, like you said, he has a head on his shoulders, even though I read somewhere that a couple of years ago it was disciplinary. You know, he was not of, let's say, he didn't act the way he was supposed to. There was the disciplinary action against him when he was a little bit younger. But then, well, you're 14, 15, it's going to happen. You go a little bit out of the ordinary, and you don't expect a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid to have a head on his shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it looks like everything is okay. And he did really well with the under-17 and the under-19 national team, taking the team to the final. Mm-hmm. Like we always say, putting the team on his shoulder. He was really the player. So yes, let's hope he continues to play. He has to play, not just hide on the bench. And Allegri has to make him play. And if you know that this kid is not going to play, then loan him out. Loan him out.
It's only fair.
It's only fair to loan him out and to a team, a Juve satellite team, where he's going to play 90 minutes.
He was loaned out last
every
year to Hellas Verona.
Which didn't work.
It didn't do so great. I think it was also him that this year asked not to be loaned out.
Because Ronaldo, he wanted to learn from Ronaldo.
So, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with also the Ronaldo effect, you know. And it's not just Moise Kean. It's the whole team in the sense that, you know, Ronaldo is the best player, and he's the one that practices most out of everybody. Mm-hmm. So
Correct.
it's something to look up to and something that you really admire.
And learn.
And you learn from it. Yeah. You say, listen, this guy is the best, and look what he does. The reason why he is the best is because of the work that he puts in.
Yeah.
And it's something for Moise Kean to be able to play, because he's young. He's 19 years old. So he actually watched Ronaldo since he was a kid. Maybe it could have been one of his idols, you know? And so you look and you're playing with Ronaldo next to you, and even in practice he wants to win, and even just taking free kicks and stuff like that during practice, he wants to score every single goal. So, I mean, that's something that he's definitely taking a lot from, and you see it during the game. He's composed, you know. He's playing with the Juventus team where there's all-star players. He goes to the Italian national team where we needed a fresher breath air, and him along with other young players, we're seeing a new generation of Italy that a lot of Italian fans can be excited about.
Yeah, the young national teams are doing really well. The under-17, the under-19 doing really well. So the future does look good. And now, even with Juventus, Serie A is closed. I mean, Serie A never started. Juventus won the championship, of course. So he should play. He should play every single game.
I would.
He should play. He's healthy. Let him play 90 minutes
I don't understand
to get the Serie A experience week after week.
Yeah, now definitely.
you have to play
But
him,
before, you know, Juventus has the luxury where you have a great talent. You don't have to put him in right away. They know when to put him in the right time. Pogba was another one. Pogba was a great talent when he first started, but he didn't get a lot of playing time.
He was coming
Allegri's good at that.
Yeah,
he is good at
Conte at the time was the one that was and little by little he would play, right? Until that's when he started becoming the starter and he started playing. And
there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dynamics to it that we don't always see.
Yeah, so you're able to ease him in, and then once he's able to really show what he's got, you can keep him. And you know what? I think next year, I mean, if he continues the way he's been continuing, he could even fight for a starting place for Juventus. You know, I don't
That
want to
would be
jump.
great.
I don't want to jump the gun,
Yeah.
but
You never know.
from
yeah.
what I've seen,
Yeah.
he
not?
can definitely push for next year.
I mean, I agree with you guys. And let's talk about the Azzurri because we didn't have you guys here. We did an episode on it. And what we were saying, basically, just to sum it up, is that there's some optimism in the air for the Italian national team where there's been a lot of negativity. And I personally think that Mancini's done a really good job at handling the squad, at putting the best guys there, at trying to play good football. Because at times, and what he's been stressing is that sometimes we don't attack enough and we don't know how to keep going for the goal and we don't know how to handle a match, which I think has been the DNA of the Italian national team over the past few years. I think it's been, I don't remember how, 60 plus years since we scored 6 goals, or even scored more than 1 goal. It's been 3 years, which is incredible. And the question was always in the attack. I think our defense looks really good. We got great options in defense. Our goalkeeper, obviously. The midfield is really good. It's just that attack that still has me a little bit shaky. I don't really believe in Immobile. But what did you guys think about the international break, about seeing Italy?
Well, like you say, he did a great job in picking the youngsters. The 2 games that we played, they were relatively easy games. Of course, in June you're going to have the other 2 top teams of our group. Greece is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, and of course Bosnia, very physical team. Wow. So, and these guys, these young players, what did not happen in the past when you were getting the veterans on the field, they really didn't put 150% on the pitch because they were thinking about, okay, but I got to go back to my regular club because I have a Champions League coming up. I have this coming up. I have this important game on Sunday I need to play. But these guys, they want to create a name for themselves. And of course, the way Mancini is doing a great job in motivating these youngsters in giving everything they have on the field and creating a name for themselves, because Italy, the way Italy was and still is, we basically are down. I mean, as a nation that won 4 World Cups, we hit bottom low. You couldn't go any further. So the only way was to go up. Yeah. Now, rules have to change with the young national teams. With the Primavera, you have to change the whole structure in order to believe in the Italian player and grow Italian players so they could be ready for the national team. But in June, we're going to get better answers in June about these players.
And also, hopefully, by that time, Chiesa, Insigne, they're both fit, and hopefully, my hope is that Balotelli is able to make his way into the team so that we have a real center forward. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I think what Ludo was saying, I think we also had a generation gap. So
Correct.
within
That's
these
absolutely
last 3 World Cups, we had really no new fresh blood where you say, oh, this kid's really good, or this guy, maybe 1, 2, but nothing really like this.
Promising.
This has been finally an Italy team where you say, oh, Barella looks good. Oh, Chiesa looks good. Bernardeschi now is starting to come in. Kean, you're saying, you know what I'm saying? Donnarumma is 99. You know what I'm saying? Spinazzola, Conti, all these guys, all these younger guys are now coming in, and they're all coming in together. It's not one this year and then 3 years another player comes. So now you have some fresh blood, guys that look interesting, can play, and it's exciting to watch. It reminds you of when there was a Totti, Del Piero, Vieri. There's something to really watch. Yes, the 2 games that we had was an easier games, right? One of the easiest games that we can play for the European qualifiers.
But when has Italy ever?
But this is a game. These are games where you have to win and win convincingly.
But everyone has to be on the same page.
Yeah.
All the clubs have to be on the same page with the youth, with the farm system. Just like Germany. Germany in 2006, they lost to us and they hit bottom low. But then the federation got to hold every club together. They had their meetings, they restructured everything, the youth system, and they started rebuilding. But everybody was on the same page. And not all Italian clubs believe in the youth system, especially the big clubs. They don't believe in the youth system where you could get someone from another nation, a product already done, already made, already produced, already out of the oven, ready to go, put them on the field, done. Why do I need to spend all this money in the youth system? And if you're not on the same page, you're not gonna go. You're not gonna go anywhere. So that's where they had to put certain rules that certain amount of Italian players have to play in the farm system. And if you come from another nation, I believe there are certain rules.
You have to have a European passport.
All
You're not
European, or
allowed
you have to
to-
wait a year or two in order to be able to play. So something has to happen, and everybody has to be on the same page if you want to have a successful national team.
I also think that confidence is a very important part of it because we could have these young guys, but I think Mancini said it in the past. At 21 years old, during his time, he said that 21-year-olds would have 100 appearances, 150 appearances for the first team, and now there's less confidence in where we could play these guys or how we could play them. And I think a lot of it, even you see Chiesa, he's 21 years old, 22 years old. He's captaining Fiorentina at times. Those are very important signs to becoming a top player or becoming a guy that's going to be molded into becoming a really good player. So I agree with you that there's a lot of exciting guys.
Marco, what is Chiesa lacking? Yes, he's getting the Serie A experience. He's starting every week. He fights in
needs
Serie A.
consistency.
He needs
Champions
consistency, but he
League,
also
European.
needs
He needs
European.
top,
Yes, I agree.
experience.
That Champions
I agree.
League experience on Wednesday to go on the field against
Yes.
Real Madrid, against Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It helps you grow as a player and as an
likely gonna
individual.
he's likely going to take that step this summer. I think there's a lot of
see.
big teams that are interested in him, and he needs. I think that the next jump is there for him. With all due respect to Fiorentina, but he knows where he's going to go next, or he knows where he has to go next. But I think at 21 years old, he's one of the talents that I see that I'm like, okay, this kid's got everything to become it. Physically too, he's getting bigger. He's good. I really like Chiesa. And I was watching the under-21 team. They played against Croatia. Tonali is phenomenal. The kid's got everything to become it. Even Calabria. We have some really great young. The U21 team was good. We screwed up. We should have been winning the game against Croatia. And we let them back into the match. But we have serious talent in that team. And more importantly, the U21 team, Di Biagio and Mancini, they're working a lot together. If you see the U21s, they play 4-3-3 too.
style.
They're trying to get them so that they play very similar. So the U21 guys can come into Mancini's and we play the same philosophy. We're all going to be attacking. We're not going to be sitting back and just defending the whole game. So it's very good time for
We just
Italy.
hope the Serie A coaches will have faith and believe in the Italian players and take the chances like certain coaches did.
Yeah, and then also just to jump off on Mancini, I think Mancini, a lot of people they're not the biggest fans tactically or how he plays, style of play, but he's a great manager. He knows how to get the best out of certain players, and he launched a lot of careers.
Yep.
So I think he's the right man for the job.
To build on that, I was very negative, not very negative, but Mancini wasn't my first choice, to say the least. But I think that Mancini's proved that he's very good at handling the team. Not necessarily tactically, but listen, he's trying to change the mentality. He's trying to be more attacking, which I really believe in. And I think he's right. And I think that he's done so far everything to have our faith. And we need to build in a project. We can't just have these little things where, okay, this coach is going to be here for a year or 2 years. This guy's got to stay for the Euros and the World Cup, and we build a philosophy around that.
Everyone has to be on the same page.
Exactly.
Everyone has to be. If they're not on the same page,
Let me ask you guys one last thing real quick. Balotelli, what do you guys think? Do we need...
I don't think matter of needing. I think it's one of those players where he can create issues in the locker room. And how many chances you can give this guy? How many chances you can provide? And how many times can Mancini speak to the locker room and say, "Hey, let's give him another chance," or "Let's do this, let's go," and then he screws up again. And it did happen. What was it, a year and a half ago when he got called up? The first game was okay, and then the second game he went on the. In Tribuna, he went on the, he was not even on the bench. I forgot, it was a year and a half ago. Right, but he got called up like one of those double matches, like, the weekend. And the second game, he didn't even play. So something happened between Friday and Tuesday where in the locker room, and Mancini said, "I had enough." And then he didn't call him back anymore. So you have to be on the same, page. And right now, he prefers not to call him because he doesn't want to break that what he created in the locker room. I agree with Mancini.
Balotelli, we know he's a talent, but it comes to a point where the talent has to really become something, and he still hasn't became anything.
It's time to grow.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Permanently.
everywhere he's gone, he has great games, and then he has games where you don't know what's going to happen.
That's what I meant about permanently.
So,
and not just grow for a couple of months and
it's,
then go back to
even
your
now,
usual...
he just went to Marseille, right? He scored goals. Maybe he's on the right track, hopefully. Hopefully he's on the right track. He's a good player. You can't get anything, wrong about that. But is he going to bring Italy to the next level? Is he able to take his, his idea of himself down and be humble and be like the rest of them? That's what it takes. To be a great player, it takes being humble. And I think like Ronaldo, Messi, all these guys, they have a certain cockiness to them, but they fight for their team. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do that, you're not getting anywhere.
He's got a huge advantage that Mancini's there. If there's anyone to give him that extra chance, it's Mancini, because he launched him, with Inter, with Manchester City. He always kept him. And I think that he's going to get called. I have a feeling that he will get called up.
He's been doing well.
And I hope.
He's just the type that doesn't follow instructions, doesn't follow rules and regulations. And he's older than a lot of these kids.
Idealistically, I think that him there with Quagliarella too, I would love it. I would just love it just because we need a real center forward who's not scared to score. To me, Immobile and Belotti are not those guys. They're not killers. They're not, when you get one chance, they're going to put the ball in the back of the net. And Balotelli is, because he's not scared. So I never...
but even talent-wise, Immobile and Belotti...
No.
Back in the day, would never even get a chance to play in the national team.
He does not have that leadership quality. Look, for example, what Quagliarella did yesterday with Donnarumma when Sampdoria scored. Before Quagliarella went to his own teammate that he scored, he went to Donnarumma and he gave him a pat on the back.
Both Napolitani.
It's probably, this is what I'm thinking. Yeah. If Quagliarella is able to do something like that to Donnarumma imagine what he's doing in the locker room of Italy national team, where, of course, when they're having a cup of coffee, he's going to speak to one of these youngsters and give them an advice or two on how to act and how to be a better man and how to grow into a great player, work on their psychological approach.
That's why we have a great balance of experience and youth, because you can learn. A lot of people say, Quagliarella, oh, come on, he's not going to be there for a World Cup. Yeah, but
he was called there for a reason.
Exactly.
To help
and
speak
build
to these guys.
You got to get there, too.
And look what he came in, and in 2 minutes, he took 2 shots that could have ended up into goals, and he did more than Immobile did for 75 minutes. So you have to let meritocracy win, and he deserves to be there.
And I think it's mostly the work that he does from the time the national team stage starts until those 5 days that they're together. I think he's doing a lot, very important in the locker room, being at the dinner table, being a leader and constantly talking to these guys. Yeah. And that's what Mancini asked him.
I like that.
I'm going to call you. You got to speak to these guys.
Exactly.
You got to, get into their brains. You got to tell them your life story. Speak mold them into great leaders that they have to be responsible on and off the pitch.
It was very nice. Mike, we got some questions.
I just want to add, that Zuri's been doing great and all. They've really been picked up a new era. But Ludovico, I think you mentioned a little bit before, they are playing Greece next. So we wouldn't be mad if they draw or something, right? Against Greece? We were okay? You just realized? What do you think?
No, I think this is, like we said before, it's a real test. It's the first real test of this young national team.
See what they got, right?
Right, against Greece and against Bosnia in June.
The two tougher teams of the
group.
Correct,
the two tougher teams of the group.
We can move on.
1 second.
You want to go?
He was saying we got to bring up Roma Napoli. I thought we talked about it in the beginning. Were we not recording?
Oh, I think we did it briefly. No, I think we were recording.
Briefly.
Yeah, briefly.
How about we talk about the first goal of Milik?
Unbelievable.
If Ronaldo would have scored that,
unbelievable.
It would have been breaking news on CNN.
That was like
beautiful.
a Zlatan type goal.
What
control.
That was dancing. That was dancing with the stars.
Oh my God.
That was Dancing with the Stars.
Unbelievable.
That was a move of Dancing with the Stars. But if Ronaldo would have scored it, not because I'm a Neapolitan fan, but what he did was absolutely.
Milik is.
It was beautiful.
It is. He comes from a great soccer school. I mean, raised in Ajax.
16 goals this year. Napoli, they were all saying, we want another striker,
No, he's a real
Milik.
thing. If he's healthy, that guy is the real thing. No comparison to Ponte.
And what a
Piontek, whatever it is.
But Do you
Milik's
blame
much better.
Do you blame Olsen also because he's got to cover that first post?
I don't like
Do you blame
Olsen.
Olsen? Oh,
I never
no,
liked
he made
him.
two
No,
bad
you're talking about
mistakes.
the first goal, or the second
first
goal?
I never
First
liked
goal.
him.
No, the first goal,
Nah,
Ponte,
no.
nothing you could do. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
the
think
move
so,
with the
too.
heel and then he shot.
Yeah, he took a shot, but you have to cover the first post a little bit better. I
150
think.
When I
miles an
see
hour. How do you
all-
react so
Yeah,
close?
I know,
Nah, you can't.
Being a
It's
Roma
tough to
fan,
react.
how can you be
Ball was
confident
out.
when you see Olsen?
Then
in
even
that?
the second goal, that ball goes right under his hands.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
second goal, but
Roma.
no, but the way Napoli accelerated, the
Yeah.
way they were coming up,
control the game.
But the Roma team, too many injuries, and this is what you also have to think about. Okay, what happened in the summer? You have to. Some of the blame has to go on the medical staff. Why so many muscle injuries throughout the season of these players? So that means the work was not done properly during the season or during the month of August, but the preseason stage. So something is wrong there, and you cannot blame Di Francesco. This is what he had.
Exactly.
This is what he had a team. To my knowledge, a fourth place team if everyone was healthy, because you can't keep selling every year and rebuild.
If even
That's
that with
what
all the
happened.
sales that they did.
But they just can't.
Well, you got to be healthy. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Fourth place, healthy, 100% the entire.
Which
but-
never happens.
Right. The club
In a
knew,
season.
and the manager that left and the
That's
coach
not a good
knew.
position to put them in.
Correct. That okay. This was a season where you're gonna have Roma playing a couple of games up here, then a couple of games here, couple of games here, back and forth.
And then all the blame goes on Di Francesco, like it was his fault.
No, I doubt it. The club has its fault. as
No,
well.
he's saying,
No, he's saying that all the blame goes on.
He's saying everybody's
blaming
on
Di
It's like a scapegoat.
Yes.
No, no, I don't think so. I think the club has also
No,
its.
we're saying the media, how everyone blamed him. It's like, oh, Di Francesco's not a good
They
coach.
sacked
Kick
Di
him out.
Francesco to make him look like the problem,
Exactly.
while
But
they
it
were
wasn't.
really
But in
the problem.
reality,
Yeah. Then you
Yeah.
get Ranieri. What can Ranieri do? I mean,
Nah, you can't.
Yeah,
he
not
had
gonna pull
Manolas
back.
that could barely stand up. De Rossi couldn't stand up. The only one who really played a little bit was Perotti,
Yeah.
who looked a little bit healthy. Fazio was sleeping the first. I mean, you can't.
Olsen and-
you-
Oh, but
you-
they
you
came
can't
out. They
blame-
came out flat. Then when you versus a Napoli team that they play like.
But they were injured. He was playing with a lot of
Napoli
injuries
can
on
cover
the
their
on
eyes,
the-
and the ball would go boom, boom, boom. They orchestrate so beautifully. The midfield is unbelievable. Martins, Milik
with
work
injuries,
together.
too.
These
Yeah.
guys, Fabian Ruiz, I think, is a fantastic
Fabian
player.
Ruiz,
very
yeah.
young.
That's what Inter
What a
needs.
great pickup.
He would have
that they
been a
got.
great.
What a great
in
pickup.
the middle, in the
Yeah.
inter midfield.
let
Then-
me squeeze something in here over here. We had a graphic over here. Shout out to Ludovico because this is a Napoli graphic. And it just showing.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a quick
yeah.
caption. It's basically saying Napoli don't have the money that the huge teams have, but they do have a big scouting. They have good scouts and they know how to pick talent up.
Look how much they signed these guys for.
We're gonna
Did you
put
see
the
this,
graphic
Ludo?
on the
You
screen.
saw we made it?
Jorginho, Alan, Milik, Zapata, Callejon.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they're all under 10
Lavezzi.
million, more or less. 10, 11,
Yeah,
12
yeah,
million.
around
The only one was
Higuain.
Milik because the
And Higuain.
you know
Higuain.
right number 71 Higuain that he left at 3:00 in the morning, and you had to buy this guy for 35 million.
But just saying, it's not an excuse if you don't have money. If you have a good scouts and you have a good system,
They have a good
you can
system.
always-
That are good
Well,
players.
if you could look at Roma spent 90 million between Pastore, Olsen, and one other guy.
Was
Nzonzi.
And not
Maybe?
Nzonzi, it was somebody else. It was somebody on Cliver. Not Cliver. Karsdorp.
Karsdorp.
90 million on these guys.
Yeah,
It's not the best
money not
decision.
spelled well.
Palota after the match said that these players need to have more balls, which
He's not holding back, huh?
No, but that's what
He's not
it
holding
came
back,
out
bro.
flat. You're
That was a word that was going around a lot in Viareggio too.
yeah.
yeah, but I think you also got to look at yourself too sometimes. And
Yeah,
I like
100%.
Palota a lot. I always said
Sometimes you
he's the
gotta
biggest
look at
player.
yourself and be like, yo, I can't.
You have to take responsibility
Yeah.
for what. See,
can't
Napoli,
keep blaming
Koulibaly,
everything.
Napoli is not forced to sell Koulibaly. Unless you want to go, that I cannot hold you back. But Koulibaly doesn't want to go anywhere. And even if it comes, an offer comes in of 150 million, and De Laurentiis will talk to Koulibaly, what do you want to do? No, I want to stay. Okay, stay. Okay, thank you. We don't want the money. We don't need the money. Napoli doesn't need to sell
150
anyone.
million.
Would you sell
No,
him?
but if the player doesn't want to go, what do you do?
Would you sell him?
No.
If he doesn't want to go, you tie him up, throw him in a box, and put him.
That's what Ancelotti said he was
But
gonna
that's
do.
the
150
but
is a lot of
that's the
money.
but you don't need to sell when you're not
But
forced to
Koulibaly's
sell
not the youngest
someone.
player either, though.
Easy.
Yeah,
How
but
old
if,
is he?
if he's a
26,
big part of
26,
your team,
24.
Correct. He's a
26?
leader.
If
He
he's
could
a-
be the
Is he
next
like
captain.
28?
26. No.
Oh my God. Okay.
He could be the next captain.
I thought he was 20.
He's 27. He's 27.
Turning 27, turning
He's gonna
28.
turn 28
Turning
actually.
28, but in June, at
When?
the end of June.
So he's got another 3 years.
Yeah, but a defender,
3 years.
defender
Even
you can play
more.
to
Chiellini's
34 years
34,
old.
right?
Come on.
30.
No, if
yeah,
you don't
30,
sell Koulibaly now, his price is not going to go higher. But it's not about that. It's about what he brings to the
Correct.
field.
You're not
And he's
gonna-
Napoli. He feels Napolitano. You know, he's very
he's
No,
part
no,
of the
he's
he's
fantastic.
part of the texture of the city.
You know what-
just like Mertens, these guys live the city on a daily basis. They feel the Neapolitans.
Yeah, but what they need to gift him is a guy right next to him that could also keep up, a better center back with him.
Oh, correct. And they're going to give him the money.
That's what
Believe
I-
me, Koulibaly will get his 6-7 million a year, which
he
I
deserves.
think he deserves.
And
Absolutely.
he could even be
But,
making more if he went somewhere else too.
the thing is between Roma. Roma is forced to sell. Napoli is not forced to sell.
Why do you
Napoli-
think Roma are forced to sell?
Why is that though?
Well, because of the
Financial fair play.
fair right.
But they sold Alisson for 80 million. That
But
balances
they had
it
to
out.
sell also.
They didn't have to sell him.
Yeah, they had to sell. They were forced
Depends
to.
what
they
you
were forced
buy
to
and
sell.
stuff like that.
They wanted
Yeah,
to go
but
too.
they spend some money in places that make no sense.
That's true. That's true.
Correct, and that's what the point that the monkey left. I mean, it was to a point. Sabatini did great.
Yeah,
Sabatini
love it.
sold a lot of players. I mean, bought with less money, just like Napoli. Sabatini bought cheap and sold high. Sabatini bought a lot of money into the Roma.
Yeah.
But
team.
it all depends on what your objectives are. You know, I mean, Roma looked like they, with the new ownership, they were gonna push for Champions League, push for the title. You know, but they sold a lot of players. They got a lot of young players. So you have to. Pallotta has to accept that for what he sold and the guys he got in, this is a rebuilding a year. This is a year.
But why would you
Why?
have
I
to
don't know.
rebuild if that
You already
team
went to
finishes-
semifinals.
Correct. You get
You
to
know,
the
in the Champions
semifinal
League.
of it. So now I went to the semifinal of the Champions League. I have this team.
Yeah.
What do I need to get to the final, and what do I need to keep this team?
That's what
and,
should have
and
been.
go against Juventus.
That's
for
what.
the Serie A
That's
championship.
what should have been done.
not to-
But instead, they did the
Yeah,
total
exactly.
opposite.
Correct.
And a lot has to do, I think, besides just financial fair play, they want a certain cash flow coming in. And until there's a stadium, I think that's how Roma's going to play it out. Until they get a
Just gonna
stadium
wait-
and they have
wait
the
it out.
ownership and they have a sponsorship and all this other stuff, Roma's going to be that team. They're going to have players, sell some players, and hope that they get into Champions League. And just in the fourth spot, they're happy. Outside
this
of
year
fourth,
it's
they're
not
not.
gonna happen.
No, this year I don't think so.
Just
not gonna happen.
right before we go there, I know we've been pushing off to questions. I just want to bring up Bologna against Sassuolo, which was an
Crazy.
incredible match. We were watching it here.
shout on that,
Bologna was winning 1-0. Sassuolo came back in the 91st minute, and they were tied 1-1. I mean, I saw they zoomed in on the Sassuolo fans. It was a kid. He must have been 5-6 years old. Tears going down his face. He was crying because Sassuolo were, these kind of games at the bottom, they're the best to watch, because everybody's fighting for points. And then Bologna and Destro in the 96th minute at home win the match. I mean, the guy takes his shirt off. You could feel the passion coming from the screen. We're watching it here with some people that don't like to watch Serie A. He says, this guy's losing his mind over this goal. And they show the fans. Everybody's kissing each other. Somebody kissed Destro on the lips, too. One of the coaches kissed Destro on the lips. They showed another kid, this time from Bologna, crying, tears going down their face. And it's such a beautiful thing to see. Just they jump out of relegation zone.
About
well,
time.
not jump
After
out of
4 months,
relegation.
4 or 5 months.
A spot
Oh, yeah, they
higher-
do. Yeah,
they
17.
do.
Yeah, you're
All
right.
the trouble Inzaghi's been there. Mihailovic finally, in a few weeks, a month,
Yeah.
he finally took them out of
games.
relegation.
We were
zone.
talking about
Pretty
Bulls, right? Mihailovic was a coach with Bulls.
good.
He's
We-
an
we-
old-fashioned.
When he was a
he's an
player,
old-fashioned.
when he was
He's
a
a great
player,
coach, though.
he was.
He's an old-fashioned coach, and he tells you just the way it is. He'll speak to you personally,
Yeah.
face to face. But this is what, going back to Inter, and that's what we were watching. Spalletti is also that type. Spalletti is always. This is what a lot of players say. We know Spalletti for many years, and he's the type of coach that he'll speak to you directly in the face. He's not going to create. So I admire that. I admire a coach that comes to you and speaks to you personally and tells you just the way the situation is.
See, the thing is with Spalletti, I don't have anything against him. The only thing is, I don't know if he's the coach now to take you to the next level. He's a coach that can stabilize a team, bring them into Champions League, but it's also the fact that certain players don't come in. He doesn't have the amount of depth as, let's say, Juventus. But is he the player now, the coach now that can say next year we're gonna go for the Scudetto? I don't know.
No.
And
Well,
if
you
he
need the
could,
players.
if he's
You
the
need-
coach
you
that
need the roster. Too.
yeah, you need the roster, yes, but you also need a coach that's not going to be afraid to put in
needs
a
to be a
certain
winner.
player.
You need
know
to
what
be
I'm
a
saying?
winner.
Sometimes I feel like he's happy with a certain draw or a certain ending of the game where he doesn't risk much. Instead, We had Mourinho where if he was losing or the game was tied, he'd throw in another striker. He used to play with 4 strikers up top. Let's win this
But
game.
Allegri does the same thing. Allegri doesn't do that in Serie A because he's strong and he knows he's going to win every game.
Yeah.
But in Champions League, he does that.
Yeah.
Champions League against Atletico Madrid, the first game, he did not motivate the team. He did not bring the team to the level to face equally the Atletico Madrid. Yeah. And they lost to nothing. They could have scored more. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden, now they were lucky that they scored, they played the perfect game. Yeah. But not every time things are going to go your way.
Yeah.
So that mental, the European mental approach, that flair, I don't think Allegri has it either when it comes in the
he doesn't.
European.
But look at the players he has.
Ajax now. Are you going to play the same game in Holland that you played against Atletico Madrid?
Hopefully not.
I mean, are you going to be lucky enough then to score 3 goals?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen all the time. He doesn't have that international flair. He lacks that international flair.
But he's another player, another coach where he doesn't risk much. He's more of a tactician, and he's happy to really study the game out and win the 1-0 than win the 3-2 game. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of coach he is. But I won't say lucky. I think he's a good coach. But he's got Juventus with a certain caliber of players that makes his job a lot easier.
No, he is. I mean, don't forget that game, you had 2 crosses that were just like the cross today with Alberto. What's his name?
Savage.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that was a
perfect.
That was a
Pinpoint.
but you have to you have to hit it in.
Mike.
Okay, let's move on to questions, guys. The first one coming in from Fabrizio. He said, "What is the main problem with Gattuso? Is it his tactics, or is it more of a player quality thing?" And let me just add: is he the coach for Milan's future to maintain Champions League and go far in Champions League?
I think he needs to be a little bit more tactically flexible. I think that he likes to stick to his 4-3-3, but I'm not exactly sure that they have the guys to be in that 4-3-3.
But is it more of his lack of tactics
that's what I would
or
say.
the player quality?
I think it's kind of cliche to say tactics because everybody says, he's not tactically there.
Yeah.
But I do think that's...
I agree with you. You guys have
I agree
it's
with
cliche, but I think it's the
thing?
truth.
No. I think that's-
Yes and no. Because I can understand that tactically, like he said, he's very stuck in his ways. He wants to play only a certain way. But when you have certain quality of players, that player, you can screw the tactics. You can go like this with all your tactics that you have. Because if he can change the game in a moment's touch or getting the ball and scoring, the game changes. Soccer is a game of inches. Soccer is a game of chances. If you score your chance, odds are you win.
The coach is a genius.
Yeah.
You hit the post, the coach is an idiot.
Exactly.
And
So.
No, go. What are you gonna say?
No, I'm saying you can't really fully blame Gattuso. Is Gattuso the best coach for Milan? I don't know. Is he a coach that's going to give 100% and be able to motivate his players? He's proven that he has. And hopefully now, even though I'm an Inter fan, I hope that Milan, because of the story and because of what they are in Italy, with these young players that they have, maybe they can now reach new heights.
So don't sack? Is he good enough for Champions League run or sack?
I don't think he deserves a sacking. I don't think he deserves sacking.
Question.
If he doesn't make it?
Oh, you're
He
saying
doesn't
at the
make
end of the
yes. Then
season,
you have to.
Well,
then you
have to look at who's available too. You're gonna get a guy like Paulo Sousa. No, there's no point. I think Gattuso would do a better
If
job.
other coaches,
if
like
Conte's on the...
If Conte's available, listen, you got one of the best coaches. It's different.
Pack your bags, Gattuso, right?
I don't know
Yeah,
about
but,
packing
then,
bags,
but now you have a coach that, first of all, he signed for another couple of years. I believe Gattuso signed a 3-year contract. But then, what's his name? Conte is not going to come to you for less than 9-10 million a year. And in order for Conte to come to you, you got to give him certain.
What he wants.
Oh, you have to. He has to have complete 100% saying in the market system, who stays, who goes. He wants basically total control of the situation. And in today's soccer, the clubs, the presidents are not willing to give that much control in the hand of one person.
Mourinho was talking about this actually on beIN Sports. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he says that he's seen now, he's like, when I was a coach in the early days, he said I could just go talk to the CEO, I could just go talk to the owner.
Yeah.
And he's like, and as a coach, I had say and I knew what was happening.
Correct.
He's like, now it's kind of like you're isolated from.
Correct.
It's such a business organization that they don't give the power. Exactly.
So
what you said.
especially like the club goes to a supermarket, does shopping, come to you, you're the coach, here's the shopping bag, make dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What can you do from what's in the shopping
Exactly.
bag?
I think a lot has to do with coaches. Maybe the idea of the coach has changed, where you used to pick a coach and hope for a 5-year, relationship. And now it's
Now it's
if you
after
don't
one
have
season.
Italy's always been different. Italy's always been different because if you didn't do good in 3 or 4 games, they would sack you.
Yeah.
But elsewhere, they rarely sacked coaches. Now it's such a more
A new thing?
casual thing to just sack a coach and go on with the next thing. So that's why I think the coach had more say back in the day. In England, for example, a lot of teams do not have sporting directors, whereas in Italy, all the teams have sporting
Chelsea
directors.
don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
but a majority of the top teams do not have sporting directors.
Strange.
They have a lady. What does she do? The lady in the Chelsea.
No, she's not a
Russian
sporting.
lady.
She's not a sporting director.
Yeah, they don't have a director.
The manager, which be, for example, Jose Mourinho, would be the manager and get the player and then get all the stuff. Sir Alex Ferguson did the same thing. He was the coach, and then
Sir
he
Alex,
decide who
yeah.
he wanted. But that was also Wenger, same thing.
A double job right there, right?
Yeah, but
But for Alex,
Yeah.
Sir Alex is one of the.
but these
the
are the
most
guys
iconic
that
one to do it.
These are the
He chose
guys that they've
everything.
been for a long time. But
He was
you
like a
understand?
director. He was a
Yeah,
director.
he was the
knew his
director and coach.
responsibility.
But if you look in the Premier League, that's how they operate. They do not have sporting directors.
What else we got, Mike?
Okay. Moving on to the next question from Fat Totti. He says, "Does Giampaolo
Fat
des-
Totti.
yeah,
Every week.
he's he loves send some comments. But he said, "Does Giampaolo deserve a bigger move this summer? And could he be the man to lead Roma to a potential new era?" I think he definitely deserves it, and I could definitely see him at Roma. That'd be interesting because he's been doing so well where he's at now. And why not?
how
Roma are
much-
looking for someone in the summer.
How much higher are Roma than Sampdoria at this moment?
There you go. You said it right
No,
there.
I'm just saying,
No,
just to
no.
give credit to Sampdoria.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm not saying Giampaolo definitely could make the
It's a lot
jump.
of pressure, guys. To coach in Rome,
But you get paid. You get
it's
paid well
it's
too.
pressure. It's pressure, and it's not the same like Sampdoria, where things are done in a different way. The atmosphere is totally different. The attitude, calm, everything is done. So we don't know. Well, like you said, you have to try. Just like Gasparini, I don't see Gasparini in a big in a big club. I don't see Gasparini in a big club because Gasparini is the type that the way he coaches, he can really mold a young player and get the best out of a team of fighters. He could get the best out, but in a big club, you need
Managing
you need
skills,
character,
you
you
need
need managementship, communication skills.
So he's not fit.
I
You
agree
have
with
that.
you.
No, I don't see right now. I don't see Giampaolo, but I would love to see. I would love for him to get the opportunity. Now remember, Giampaolo has a certain style of play. He plays like Sarri.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you also have to have a team
That fits
where
that.
fits that
Yeah,
pattern.
he's from that bread of Sadi. He's.
I mean,
he likes
just like
that kind of football.
just like Sarri inherited the team from Benitez. Those were his players, and then Sarri put a little bit of his own flair and flavor into the mix. And now Ancelotti is feeding off Sarri. But what do you see on the field? You still see a lot of Sarri.
Yeah, exactly.
Because these guys, they know each other with their eyes closed. The movements. There's a lot of Sarri. But what the difference between Ancelotti and Sarri is that Ancelotti now can fix the things on the fly. Sarri only saw one way, 4-3-3. He didn't look at the other team. This is how we play. Guys, go on the field, possession 70%. This is our game. But Ancelotti will fix it on the fly, just the way he did it today. He saw Cristante that he was staying back, so he switched right away the formation. So he'll switch after 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
He'll go to a different formation based on the opponent.
Ancelotti is one of the greatest coaches in Italy, maybe in the world. So I mean, he has so much experience coaching internationally: Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Milan. So I mean, he knows the game in and out. He's a great tactician, great coach, and knows how to manage players. Ronaldo loved playing for Ancelotti. That's why there was a chance that Cristiano was going to go to Napoli before. I don't know how true it was, but there were
He was reading the
stories.
newspapers
There
all
were
night. You read
there were
newspapers.
stories about that. There were stories about that. But
We had to sell the island of Capri in order to
For a 1 week salary, right?
But going off the Giampaolo, I think is a great coach. He's shown already the past 2 years and even more so. Coming from, I forgot what team did he come
Empoli,
from?
right?
Empoli, yes,
Yes.
Empoli. He took after Sarri.
Yep.
So I think he deserves the chance. You know, Sarri got the chance, and he proved that he can do it with Napoli, even though he came always a bit short as far as the Scudetto. But you're versing a top team like Juventus. Gianpaolo,
Juventus, we would have had 5 Scudettos.
Exactly.
Without Juventus
So,
being...
yeah. So, I mean, the only thing is the question if Roma is the right place. Roma, unfortunately, like Ludo was saying, it's a tough piazza to win in because they have, it's like what Conte said. You can't go to a restaurant with 10 euros for a $100 restaurant. So Roma, the fans expect Scudetto, and the club gives
a lot of pressure.
Nothing. So you don't have the chance to really develop. Sarri, if you remember, when he first got to Napoli, did not have a great start. Yeah. It took 3 or 4 months before you actually saw Sarri's mechanism and the players buying into the system and clicking. And then the second year was when you really saw the real Napoli come out and start playing. So you have to, as a club, put faith in your coach when you make a decision and give everything that he needs and everything that he can get to be able to become the coach that he is. I still think Gasperini, even though I agree with Ludo as far as not being the top coach with the coach for a top team, but I do feel a little, hard for the fact that when he was with Inter, it was during a time when there was so much confusion, changing of the manager, changing of the ownership, players you got Jonathan coming in, the guy couldn't even touch the ball. I mean, so a lot of bad things happening. He had 3 games, and then the rest was history. So I think he does deserve another place. Chance. The only thing is, I don't know if that's the best option for him. I think at Atalanta, he's a great fit. So why change?
I don't know.
Test yourself.
Just to test
challenge.
yourself, maybe.
But who says that Atalanta is not a challenge? What Atalanta is doing right now could be a greater challenge than what you can do at Roma. Atalanta is fighting for a Europa League spot. They're inside the Europa League going even higher.
Roma could be challenging back with Juventus for the Scudetto. How it was a few seasons
ago. If they spend money.
Okay, whatever. If there's a plan, at the end of the day, everyone's got to have. I think
everybody needs to stop putting their own personal what you think is so good to other people because you don't understand what they are. So saying, can Gianpaolo go to another team? Yeah, he probably could and probably deserves so. But who's saying that that's such a jump? Who's saying what he's building at Sampdoria is not more important than what he could do at another club?
Or who knows if he's looking? We don't really know.
Yeah. See, the thing is,
I just don't like when people do. When you
scenarios.
When you coaching, when you coaching in Sampdoria or you coaching in Atalanta, you have to start from scratch. Meaning, you have to make the dough. The dough has to rise. You got to make the pizza and you got to put it in the oven.
Only a Napolitano would make this reference.
Now, when you coach in Roma, you got to make sure, forget about the dough making, forget about making the pizza. You got to make sure that pizza comes out of the oven.
That pizza's cooked without the dough, right?
It's not burnt. So what I'm trying to say is you basically working with players that are already set. Yeah. They're already famous players. It's a group of 25 players that these players want to win. Now, when you're in Sampdoria or in Atalanta, you have a youngster. You go to the Primavera, you look at their games. Oh, wow, I see that guy in 6 months. I'm going to call him up. That guy in 2 years, he's going to be a main player in Serie A, and the club can sell him for 30 million euros. Yeah, exactly. This is what Gianpaolo sees. Yeah. Yeah. This is what Gasperini sees.
They got an eye for
it. They got an eye for that. They see the future talent. And Mihajlovic the same. They see the young players, say, these guys from 2 years from now. So they'll go to the president and say, listen, this year we're going to finish maybe, we're not going to go to Serie B, but I have 3-4 players over there that in 2 years we're going to fight for an Europa League spot. So they're able to nurture talent, bring up the talent. In Roma, you're not able to do that. You have already 26 players.
And you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. And they might not be that correct fit in order to do that.
You got to make it work.
Which again goes to
the coaching qualities.
That's a great segue because that's kind of like what I was trying to explain. Like that, being able to build a player that becomes a star. Who says that that's not more important than going on and fighting for a Scudetto? To Gianpaolo or to Gasperini, seeing that player transition and being able to build that player could be a skill inside their coaching set, which is more rewarding to them than trying to do it at a Inter or a Milan or a Napoli. So
Right. No, but they also, Marco, there are certain qualities. So the Giampaolo and the Gasperini, they have this type of quality as coaches in order to see these young players and bring them up. Something that Ancelotti will not be able to do. Here's a perfect example. Ancelotti will not be able to coach in Atalanta or Sampdoria. Ancelotti is great with great teams, players that are already made. They already have a name for themselves. They have a reputation, and they're someone in the world of soccer. Ancelotti is good on that, but Ancelotti will not be good in Atalanta or Sampdoria.
Different style of
different
coaching,
qualities that coaches
yeah,
possess. Correct.
Because when the big teams, it's more important psychology and more important how you
Communication
manage
skill,
exactly
correct.
how
You
do you
have to be a
manage the locker room.
right.
Whereas with the younger teams, these guys are all fighting to become the next level player. So you have already these guys already full of passion, full of energy
like a
to
teacher
win.
molding them.
So yeah, exactly. So now you're able. They're all enthusiastic, and you're able to mix something up and put a nice, let's go with the food reference, right? A pizza together.
We're going to Patrizio's
whereas the players that are on these big teams, they already been to the top restaurants. They know what's coming out of the oven. So if you don't produce the top pizza, they'll go to somebody else, or they don't want that pizza.
No, but this is going back.
I'm hungry.
Going back. This is what I had. I mean, I've been coaching with the Brooklyn Italians for many years, and we are a middle tier club. We're not an academy club like New York City FC or the Red Bulls that they have academy youth system, which is supposed to be, the academy teams of the MLS teams. They're supposed to be top notch in the country. So now we get a player who's 8 years old, comes to the Brooklyn Italians. We raise that player, grows with us. We teach them the coaching and all that. Now this player becomes 16, 17 years old, and he goes to an academy team at 17. But the work has been done by Brooklyn Italians or another club for the past 7, 8 years. So now he goes to the Red Bulls. After 1 year, the Red Bulls, he's going to go to this college. Or we're going to sign him to a MLS
Homegrown.
Came out of the Red Bulls farm system. No, he did not come out of Red Bulls farm. You had him for 1 year.
Yeah.
Give credit to the Brooklyn Italians that had this player for 8 years
Yeah,
and taught him everything
Tell
that
him,
he
Ludo.
that he knows.
Say it.
And don't take the credit just because you had the kid for 1 year. This is what I'm trying to. That's the point I was trying to.
we give you the credit, Ludo. We got any more questions?
One last question,
Okay,
30
real
seconds,
quick.
really quick,
Really quick.
everyone. What do you guys come from Chris Juve? Who do you guys see getting top four? Name them quick. I say Juve, Napoli, Inter, and Lazio.
Same
Who's
thing,
next?
but I say Milan fourth.
Milan fourth. Come on.
Same thing. I say Lazio fourth.
Inter, Lazio. Agree with me.
Correct. The momentum. Lazio has the momentum.
Napoli fifth.
I don't think we can make 15 if we lose all the games. Can we get the fifth place if we lose all the games?
This guy over here. Go.
Listen,
lost.
no. You know what? For Serie A, I hope Milan gets fourth. I'm gonna be with my friend Antonio because Milan is going
Okay,
to
now what do you
spend the
really
money.
think?
No, I mean, I would like to see Lazio fourth place because then all the Milan fans are gonna cry and stuff.
Delicate situation in Milan.
But yeah,
The club
but
has to play the cards right with Icardi. Otherwise, the locker room will explode.
so
I
that's
hope
what
Milan. I hope
think.
Milan because I hope for Serie A. But to give credit to Lazio, if there's any team that really deserves it after what
come
happened to
on.
them
Oh, yeah,
last
Lazio
year,
definitely deserves
They're
it.
back.
I feel so bad.
They're back.
I did.
They're back. They're back from their injuries.
But
They
the
play
thing is-
well, and they have the momentum going forward towards the end of the.
Getting
towards
into
the end of the
Champions
season.
League, you got to spend money. So if they're a club that's
yeah.
not going to spend money,
I get
That's the
that
thing
point.
I
get
feel.
that
Well,
they're gonna
point
That's
too.
what
sell
I'm saying.
I get that point
Milinkovic-Savic.
too. I get
When's
that
the
point
last
too.
time we've had Juve, Milan, and Inter in Champions League?
It's been some
probably a
time,
while
huh?
back.
Got to look that up. It's been a while.
Milan's been a lot of
Milan.
a lot of years.
Yeah, Milan's been. I
7,
can't even
8
remember.
years, 9 years.
Back in the
something like
90s, right? Before 2000?
Nah, not the night. Anyway, Ludo, thank you for coming
Thank you
on.
for having me. Always
As
a pleasure. Guys,
I want to remind you, the Calcio tees, ItalianFootballTV.com if you want to get one while supplies last. And you could also win that Zanetti shirt. We're going to have to pull it away from Peter because I've been seeing him.
And the
eye it
pizza
a little.
also.
And the pizza. Yeah, we're going to get the pizza made by Ludovico. So, guys, as always, subscribe, rate, and enjoy the podcast. We got Antonio coming back. Antonio calls us today. He goes, guys, I went to the time. He goes, I'm arriving at this time, JFK. He goes, you come pick me up. We go straight to do a podcast. We said, no, we're bringing Ludovico on. Damn it. He goes, okay. He goes, okay. The next day we organize it. He goes, I need everybody on because I got a lot to talk about. This guy's been going around the body asking people where they rank Cassano amongst the best players in the world.
And every single one, everyone from
Cassano
Body has
#1.
been saying Cassano over Ronaldo and Messi. So that's how you know you're in Body.
I
But
think
then-
I probably offered them pizza.
Exactly.
No, but the thing is,
Or maybe a spritz. You offer them a spritz and they said that.
the thing is, Antonio doesn't really know. He sends like a full clip. It's like 5 minutes, and they're like beforehand. So I see him sometimes. There was one time somebody sent it. They didn't name Cassano first. And then he hits the guy. He goes, I told you before. And he turns around. He goes, you say Cassano #1. And the guy's like, but I don't really think Cassano. You say Cassano #1. And then the guy says Cassano. And I'm like, you see? I didn't tell him to say it. It's Cassano. So it's really funny. They're going to be on our stories.
I think it could be a new mini-series documentary where Antonio's looking in search of Cassano. And he
So
should
follow
go
with
around
the
Bari
camera,
to
right?
find Cassano. Too bad he's in Genoa right now.
He came across some Cassano haters. Did you see one of the videos?
No, I didn't.
No, but everybody likes him now. Everybody likes him now because he's finally, Cassano became a man. He has children. But when you see him on the show, he's great.
Oh,
he
he's
speaks
tough
his
as fuck.
mind.
There's one guy in Body was saying that he hasn't given back enough. Like he hasn't donated enough money for community. And you can see Antonio's face. He didn't want to make a scene in the moment, but he's just giving an eye to the camera where he completely disagrees with it.
But guys, we're gonna have it on Instagram at ItalianFootballTV on our IG stories. So you gotta check them out there.
We'll post them all tomorrow. But anyway, guys, as always, thank you for watching.
Thank you
for
so
joining.
much,
We'll talk
guys.
to
Thank you,
soon.
guys.
Ciao,
Ciao.
guys.
Happy soccer, everyone.